Hey Warriors, Miss K here. So if you've been catching the live streams, we've been going over nootropics. The last one that we went over, unfortunately, it was on Instagram and not a lot of people were able to come and watch it. So I decided to switch over to YouTube and actually just post the videos for you guys to watch. If you missed anything from part one, we just went over the basics of nootropics and the different families that are inside of those nootropics. In this talk, I want to cover how nootropics actually work. To start with, the most basic breakdown example that I can give you of what nootropics are. Nootropics help modulate and influence a different number of systems inside of the brain along with chemicals inside of the brain. In order to understand this, I'm going to break down each segment and each area of the brain so that you can fully understand in the most simplified version that I can give you of how this works. So to begin, you have neurotransmitters and synaptic receptors inside of your brain. These neurotransmitters are a chemical transmit nerve signal or impulses from one neuron to another. Essentially, they're chemical messengers, and they take two different forms, excitatory and inhibitory. The excitatory are the ones that are going to communicate those good messages and signals back and forth to each other. The inhibitory are the ones that are going to block this from happening. This is a bad thing. You don't want this to happen. This is where nootropics come in. When you have those good messages going back and forth, they then bind with special postsynaptic receptors. This is how a system is formed inside of the brain. One of many ways that nootropics works. Helping communication along the right pathways, nootropics specifically target and increase the efficiency of those systems related to cognitive function, along with other areas such as focus, motivation, learning, and memory. And we'll get to those. Acetylcholine plays roles in learning and memory, focus, decision-making, and even sensory reception. Imagine how you would feel if your acetylcholine was too low. Blech. Gross, right? Choline, on the other hand, is also important in this particular system itself. It is the precursor to acetylcholine. In order for acetylcholine to properly do its job, you need to make sure that you're getting an adequate amount of choline in your own body, and this varies from person to person. You can get enough from a well-balanced diet, but if you're not eating properly, or maybe you're just starting out on a new lifestyle change, you may want to add it through a natural source, such as a supplement. You can get plenty of those in capsule form from pretty much anywhere. You can order online, you can go to the vitamin shop. Any supplement shop should have these basic things. Into the standard American diet, most Americans aren't getting any of the vitamins or nutrients they need. This includes choline, which means you're going to end up with brain fog. You may also have trouble learning more, retaining information, and recalling memories without it. Since choline is a precursor to acetylcholine, you want to use supplements like alpha CPG or even acetylcholine. These sources are much more effective than others when converting into acetylcholine. While some acetylcholine supplements have a positive effect on cognitive function, they're not generally enough to have a noticeable nootropics result. But you can get around this by combining acetylcholine precursors with agonists to induce a synergistic effect. Acetylcholine agonists such as racetams work to increase the synapses without producing additional acetylcholine. So in other words, it's going to take what you already have in your system and utilize it, making it so that you don't have to add extra in there. Okay, this brings us to our next system, the glutamate and glutamatergic system. Glutamate is the most plentiful neurotransmitter that plays a huge role in maintaining brain health, learning, and memory. Glutamate is also converted into GABA, another neurotransmitter that aids in supporting a positive mood. It's very important for those who want to have a happier life. Wake up happy, be happy all day. Okay, just like choline, it's important to have adequate amounts of glutamate inside of your system. but you don't want to have too much. Too much usually occurs outside of the cell, and it may be an indication of receptor malfunctions. Too much glutamate is considered a factor in the development of neurological diseases and disorders such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ADHD, and in some cases even autism. Just like the different types of nootropics that we've discussed before, there are different types of glutamate receptor sites, like NMDA and AMPA. These are considered nootropic in nature. The stimulation of these receptors is one of the big goals in nearly every type of nootropic supplement that you may take. So just like the acetylcholine system, there are certain nootropics that work best for this. Those are racetams and ampkins. Both are known to stimulate these types of receptor sites. So stuff such as Noopept or aniracetam, those are good for this type of goal when taking a nootropic. Although certain supplements have more of an affinity for activating one or the other, increasing your glutamate uptake can lead to improved memory and learning, along with more energy and focus. Okay, our next system, dopamine and serotonin, I feel like this is one that most of us, at minimum, have at least heard of, if not know a little bit about. Maybe you know a lot about it. These are both well-known chemicals for controlling our feelings, our moods, our pleasures, and our happiness. While neither one is necessarily a target of a nootropic's goal, they play an important role in brain health. Without a happy brain, you won't have a happy body. Both of these chemicals relate more to the happiness of mood. They also aid in motivation, reward, and focus. Please keep in mind there are significant differences between dopamine and serotonin. This is one subject that I've often talked about with people, that there is a huge difference between them. Dopamine related effects are very, very powerful, so much more than serotonin in most cases, and they can be highly addictive. Remember those smart drugs I was talking about in the beginning, Adderall and Ritalin? Well, too much of these can be a very, very bad thing. I oftentimes tell my clients, friends, and family members to try to stay away from smart drugs such as Adderall and Ritalin when taking a nootropic. They're highly, highly addictive. They're amphetamine compounds that directly stimulate dopamine. Overproduction of dopamine is a very bad thing. So nootropics that influence serotonin usually have a mood boosting effect though, as opposed to primary cognitive related benefits. Now that we have a better understanding of how nootropics work better in the brain, you can start creating your own stacks and adding them to your own supplements. Okay, a lot of people have asked me what teocrine is. Teocrine is the active compound found in kucha tea. While teocrine has very similar effects to caffeine, there are some differences. For starters, teocrine has a much lower tolerance level, meaning that you don't need to take as much of it. You also won't adapt as quickly as you will with caffeine, meaning that you don't have to cycle through it. Yay! It also won't give you the jitters. It won't raise your heart rate. It won't raise your blood pressure either. It's a much cleaner, smoother energy feeling. So as most of you have seen, for probably the past couple years now, that particular nootropic that I've been taking, it's called Dragon. The reason that I love it is teocrine and caffeine are combined together. They're much like a couple that works well together. Those gym buddies who, fool around and make fun of each other, but they push each other. Here it is. So the reason that I love this product is the first thing that I noticed about it was my energy was definitely increased, but I didn't feel like I was wired and jumping off the walls. I also loved it for the simple fact that I felt a lot more focused. my brain felt like it was on point all the time. I had a much better capacity for remembering things that I had just learned, and memory recall as well. I also found an easier time studying for my talks and for my schooling when I was going through personal training school, along with my mood got better. And part of that was I stacked it with their other neuro support called Phoenix. So these two go really great together. Also another great couple and pairing. One controls mood, the other helps with brain. So as you can see, Dragon you can stack with other supplements as well. I also take it with a multivitamin, with fish oils, with BCAAs. It's even going to help those of you who are in the gym. So if you're a competitor, these two products right here are going to be your best friend. They helped me through both of my preps. And while I was still a little bit grumpy with friends, it was a whole lot better. So part of the reason for these effects from these that I've noticed was they activate dopamine receptors, they modulate other neurotransmitters, and they inhibit adenosine receptors. That's 3 ways that teacrine works. While caffeine, like I stated, not only increases heart rate, it raises the blood pressure and it can cause anxiety. Teacrine's not going to do this. As previously stated, teacrine also directly activates dopamine receptors, whereas caffeine does not. Both, however, are recognized as very safe ingredients, so don't get me wrong on that front. Caffeine will also improve energy only, while teacrine improves not only energy levels, but also it affects your mood and your focus as well, giving you a much, much cleaner feeling. So if you're somebody who's caffeine sensitive, this is a really good alternative for you. And studies have shown that teacrine also has a 3.5 times longer half-life than caffeine, meaning that you don't need to have as much in your system in order to get that good, clean energy feeling. So clearly teacrine is the superior here to caffeine, but the reason that LTD Labs uses them together is because teacrine is going to counteract some of those effects that caffeine is going to give you, but you're going to get twice as much energy out of this one particular product. Back in 2005, studies also showed that teacrine was beneficial in increasing glutathione levels. After 7 days of subjects consistently taking teacrine by itself, which causes a secondary benefit inside of the liver for detoxing and fighting off oxidation. I mean, who doesn't want a cleaner, more properly functioning body along with brain gains? I do. According to a study published in the journal Phytotherapia, teacrine, when taken consistently by itself, appeared to have the ability to aid in acute decrease in inflammation. So LTD Labs combining this with a nootropic, you're a genius. It also contains phenylparacetams, which in my recent research has shown has the effect of reversing concussions. So my friends who are athletes, football players, wrestlers, anything like that, your brain's going to heal itself by taking this particular nootropic. I know I've had 6 concussions last year from being inside of the gym, unfortunately. I went and got brain mapping done. No signs of a concussion ever. You want to repair your brain and make it stronger and get those brain gains? Take Dragon. So now I hope you have a basic understanding of how nootropics work, and the next time that you go to buy one, you know exactly what you're looking for. Make sure you look at your ingredients, make sure it's a well-trusted company, and make sure that you have your brain goals in order. Remember, every nootropic is different. This is mine. What's yours?